Liam Weston had always known he was different, but until his arrival at the Galactic Academy, he'd thought of his differences as quirks, small distinctions that made him unique on Earth. Little did he realize that here, in the vast, intergalactic heart of knowledge and training, his very humanity would spark controversy, suspicion, and ultimately a battle he'd never anticipated. It all began during a high-stakes practical training session on reflexes, a skill highly valued in this academy, where students were groomed not just for intellectual achievement but for survival across the galaxies. The Galactic Academy prided itself on creating not only scholars but warriors, diplomats, and explorers equipped to handle the far reaches of the universe, where danger lurked at every asteroid belt, and split-second reactions could mean the difference between life and death. The Academy's reflex training class was considered one of the most rigorous, a kind of rite of passage for students aspiring to graduate. Alien students from every corner of the galaxy were required to attend, honing their reflexes through increasingly complex drills. Liam, as one of the only humans admitted into this elite institution, had often felt out of place in the Academy's grandiose halls. Surrounded by beings of various shapes, sizes, and biologies, he'd learned quickly that blending in was an impossibility. Every day presented new challenges that his classmates handled with ease, but he took it as a test of his adaptability. As he entered the training hall, Liam felt the usual stir of excitement and anxiety. He was used to the feeling by now. It had become a companion since he first set foot in the academy. The training hall was vast, a sprawling, circular room lined with strange, glimmering panels and an array of alien technologies he couldn't yet comprehend. The room's walls pulsed with an energy field that shifted colors, creating an almost hypnotic effect, which he learned was intended to throw off the students' concentration. Alien instructors monitored the room, their holographic tablets hovering beside them, ready to record the students' performance and issue assessments on the spot. In the center of the room was the primary training device, a platform that emitted high-speed laser pulses from multiple angles. The pulses were calibrated to increase in speed and complexity, testing each student's ability to anticipate and react. Failure to dodge even a single pulse could mean a drop in the ranking, an unspoken mark of shame among the Academy's competitive student body. Those at the bottom of the rankings often found their career prospects limited. Professor Zorvac, the head instructor for reflex training, was already present, overseeing the setup with his usual meticulousness. Zorvac belonged to the Exoran species, a towering, reptilian race known for their fierce combat skills and intimidating presence. His eyes, slitted and keen, scanned each student as they entered. Liam had always found Zorvac's gaze unsettling. It was as if the professor could see straight through him, deciphering every thought and emotion with a single glance. "All right, students," Zorvac's voice boomed, resonating through the training hall. "Today's exercise will test your reflexes in a way you have not yet experienced. The intensity has been raised. Prepare yourselves." Liam took his place on the platform, his heart pounding as he waited for the simulation to begin. Around him, alien students shifted with a nervous energy. Beside him stood Greth, a blue-skinned Keishi with tendrils that twitched in anticipation. To his right was Mira, a Delphian with reflective skin that glimmered under the lights. The Academy had brought together species he'd only read about in Earth's limited scientific journals, and the diversity was both awe-inspiring and intimidating. The laser pulses began slowly, almost lazily, as if warming up. Liam dodged the first one with ease, shifting his weight lightly to the side. As the pulses quickened, he felt his body respond instinctively. His muscles coiled and reacted before his mind fully processed the movement, a trait he'd never paid much attention to back on Earth, but one that had often served him well in sports and physical tests. As the session continued, Liam noticed that his classmates were beginning to struggle. Greth's tendrils twitched frantically as he attempted to avoid the lasers, but he was hit twice in quick succession, each pulse eliciting a frustrated grunt. Mira, normally composed, was breathing heavily as she struggled to keep up with the increased speed. Despite their best efforts, it became clear that they were reaching their limits. Liam, however, felt a strange sense of calm. His body seemed to move on its own, each motion fluid and precise. He found himself slipping through the pulses with an ease that surprised even him. He could feel his classmates' eyes on him, a mix of awe and confusion evident in their glances. Whispers began to spread as the aliens watched him dart and weave with an agility they hadn't anticipated from a human. Professor Zorvak's gaze zeroed in on Liam. At first, it was a look of intrigue, but as the session continued and Liam evaded pulse after pulse, intrigue turned to suspicion. Zorvak had taught this course for decades, training students from countless species, each with their unique reflexes and physical traits. But never before had he seen a student respond like this. The human was dodging lasers at a rate that would challenge even the finest Zoran warriors. Weston. Zorvak's voice cut through the room, halting the exercise abruptly. The other students, grateful for a reprieve, turned their attention toward Liam, who stood on the platform, breathing steadily, unscathed by the rigorous test. "Yes, Professor?" Liam replied, his tone respectful but laced with confusion. He wasn't sure why he had been singled out. Zorvak's slitted eyes narrowed. "Step down from the platform." Liam obeyed, descending to the floor, his every movement watched by the other students. He could feel the weight of their gazes, a mixture of admiration and unease. Zorvak's expression, however, held no admiration, only an intense scrutiny. "What exactly are you doing, Weston?" Zorvak's voice was low, each word laden with accusation. Liam frowned, genuinely baffled. "I'm just participating in the exercise, sir, like everyone else." A murmur rippled through the room. Zorvak's expression darkened. "Don't play games with me. No one has dodged every pulse at that speed without assistance. Are you using some sort of hidden technology?" The question hit Liam like a punch to the stomach. Hidden technology? Assistance? He'd been performing on pure instinct, his reflexes kicking in without conscious thought. The idea that he'd need some kind of device to help him was absurd. "No, sir," he replied firmly, though his voice betrayed a hint of disbelief. "I'm not using anything. It's just my reflexes." Zorvak's gaze bore into him, a heavy silence filling the room. Liam felt his cheeks flush under the scrutiny, the unfairness of the accusation stinging. He'd always prided himself on his physical abilities, his quick reflexes and athleticism. To have them questioned in such a public, humiliating way was infuriating. "Just your reflexes?" Zorvak repeated, his tone dripping with skepticism. He turned to the other students. "Can anyone here vouch for the human's claim?" Silence. His classmates shifted uncomfortably, avoiding his gaze. Liam knew they'd seen his abilities, but he also understood their hesitation. Challenging a professor was no small matter, and most of them barely knew him, a human among alien peers. Zorvak's jaw tightened. "Weston, until further notice, you are suspended from this class pending an investigation. If it turns out you're cheating, you will be expelled from the academy. Is that understood?" Liam's heart sank. Suspended? For doing well? He forced himself to stand tall, suppressing the urge to argue. He knew it would only worsen his situation. "Yes, sir," he replied, his voice steady but laced with a defiance he couldn't entirely hide. As he left the training hall, he felt the weight of every eye in the room on him, whispers following him like shadows. Liam spent the first few days of his suspension in a state of disbelief. His mind reeled with frustration and confusion. He had worked tirelessly to earn his place at the Galactic Academy, and now, just as he was beginning to find his rhythm, he'd been cast out of one of the most essential classes. All because of his own reflexes, something he'd always taken for granted, a skill he assumed was as unremarkable as breathing. To the Academy, however, it seemed that his very humanity was now under suspicion. Liam spent his days wandering the Academy's sprawling, futuristic campus, a mix of alien architecture and advanced technology. The Galactic Academy was built within an asteroid, carved out and converted into a learning hub. It was an amalgamation of everything he'd read about in Earth's science fiction books: crystalline halls that shifted colors, holographic lecture rooms, and arenas with artificial gravity fields. But it was also a place that, he now realized, had no real understanding of humans. Determined to find answers, Liam headed to the Academy's vast library. Its shelves stretched upward in tall arcs, each housing countless scrolls, holographic tablets, and crystalline memory shards from every known civilization. He logged into the system and began researching alien records on reflexes, physical traits, and combat skills. Liam wanted to understand why his abilities seemed so foreign, so inconceivable to his alien peers. As he browsed through the archives, he stumbled upon records detailing various physical attributes of other species. Every species, he discovered, had unique strengths, often evolved in response to the conditions of their home planets. The Zoran, like Professor Zorvak, had heightened strength and muscular resilience. The Delphians, like his classmate Mira, had reflective skin that adapted to various radiation levels. The Kaashi, Greth's species, boasted sensory tendrils that gave them a heightened awareness of spatial changes. Liam noted that while each species had a singular trait it excelled at, none appeared to have the mix of reflex speed, coordination, and adaptability that he'd demonstrated. For a moment he felt a surge of pride, as if his humanity was a secret weapon. But the sense of isolation soon returned. No record in the library even hinted at human capabilities, reflexes, or endurance. It was as if Earth was still a mystery to the galaxy, its people unknown and underestimated. His frustration only grew. Were humans really so misunderstood? Or worse, dismissed? Driven by a need to prove himself and perhaps, in a way, prove humanity, Liam decided to gather evidence. If he could show his reflexes were not a cheat, but a natural human trait, then he might have a chance to restore his place in the Academy. But first, he needed to test his theory. He couldn't simply tell the Council that humans had remarkable reflexes. He had to demonstrate it, both to his alien peers and to the skeptical Academy faculty. The next day, he reached out to Greth, Mira, and a few other classmates. They met him after classes in a quiet, tucked-away section of the Academy grounds, where students often practiced outside of formal lessons. Liam could feel their hesitation. He was, after all, the cheater who had managed to evade the Academy's most advanced reflex test. "Why did you call us here, Liam?" Greth asked, his tendrils twitching with curiosity and a touch of wariness. "Are you going to tell us how you did it?" Liam took a deep breath. "Look, I know you all think I cheated, but I didn't. What you saw back there dodging those laser pulses, that's just normal for me, for humans." Mira raised a skeptical eyebrow. "Normal? You expect us to believe that every human can move like that?" "Not every human," Liam admitted, "but it's not as unusual as you think. On Earth, we're trained in sports, agility drills, reaction games. Many of us have fast reflexes. I came here because I want to show you that my reflexes are real, and that they're natural." Greth exchanged a glance with Mira, then shrugged. "All right, show us." Liam smiled, though he felt the weight of the moment. If he failed, he would only reinforce their suspicions. But if he succeeded, maybe he could start to change their perception. He set up an impromptu experiment, using a small metallic sphere from the Academy's gym equipment. It was a training device designed to shift directions unpredictably, typically used by students to improve their hand-eye coordination. Liam configured the sphere to launch itself in random directions, bouncing off surfaces in quick bursts. "All right, Mira, you first," he said, handing her the device. "The goal is to catch it before it hits the ground. Give it a try." Mira activated the device, her reflective skin catching the light as she focused. The sphere darted off, bouncing erratically. She lunged, missed, and tried again. After a few attempts, she caught it, breathing heavily. Her reflective skin shimmered, showing how much effort she'd expended. Greth was next. His sensory tendrils quivered as he attempted to follow the sphere's unpredictable movements. He managed to catch it once, but it took several tries, and he admitted he was exhausted afterward. Then it was Liam's turn. He took a deep breath, letting his instincts take over. The sphere launched, and without thinking, he moved with it. He caught it after 2 bounces, his hand snapping out in a blur. He repeated this twice more, each time faster with minimal effort. The sphere barely had a chance to hit the ground before he intercepted it. Greth and Mira watched in stunned silence. Mira's expression had shifted from skepticism to awe, while Greth's tendrils twitched with surprise. That wasn't cheating? Greth finally asked, incredulous. No, it's just reflexes. Humans train this way from a young age, Liam explained, feeling both pride and relief. I know it seems strange to you, but on Earth, this is a skill many of us develop naturally. Mira shook her head, laughing softly. Liam, if I hadn't seen it with my own eyes, I wouldn't have believed it. Encouraged by his friend's reactions, Liam continued to research and document his findings. He gathered scientific articles from Earth's research on human reflexes, reaction time studies, and even recorded footage of himself demonstrating his agility. Each day he collected more evidence, determined to show the Academy that his abilities weren't some trick or cheat, but a unique aspect of human physiology. Word of his experiment began to spread among the students. Soon, others joined their practice sessions, curious to witness Liam's skills for themselves. Some came out of a sense of rivalry, hoping to match him, while others were simply fascinated. The sessions became a melting pot of cultural exchange, with students from different species sharing stories about their own physical traits and strengths. Liam listened intently, eager to understand the capabilities of his classmates, while teaching them about human resilience, adaptability, and reflex training. His growing popularity caught the attention of the Academy's council, who had been monitoring his suspension closely. Professor Zorvac was less than pleased. The rumors circulating about Liam's demonstrations only seemed to confirm his suspicions that the human was trying to manipulate others into accepting his advantages. Determined to end the charade, Zorvac called for an official review. 2 weeks after his suspension, Liam received a formal summons from the council. It was a summons that carried a weight of finality. He knew this was his last chance to clear his name and prove his case. As he walked to the council chambers, his heart pounded. He'd spent hours preparing, collecting all the evidence he could, rehearsing his words, but he couldn't shake the nerves. The council chambers were an intimidating place, with tall, crystalline walls and an echo that made every sound feel magnified. The council members sat in a semicircle, their faces a blend of various alien features, each more austere than the last. Professor Zorvac sat among them, his slitted eyes fixed on Liam with a look of unyielding skepticism. Beside Zorvac was Chancellor Naller, a wise and aged Suryushian with telepathic abilities, who presided over the council. She regarded Liam with a calm but discerning gaze. Liam Weston, she began, her voice resonant, filling the chamber. You are here to address allegations that you manipulated the results of your reflex training assessment. You have requested the opportunity to prove otherwise. We are listening. Taking a deep breath, Liam stepped forward, clutching his evidence. He laid out his case, detailing the scientific principles behind human reflexes, the cultural importance of agility training on Earth, and the recorded footage of his demonstrations. His voice remained steady as he described the biological factors that contributed to human reflexes, how sports and physical exercises on Earth honed these abilities from a young age. Finally, he addressed the Academy's lack of understanding of human physiology. I know that humans are rare here, he said, meeting Zorvac's gaze, and maybe our abilities seem foreign to you. But that doesn't make them any less real. What you saw in that training session wasn't cheating. It was me, just being human. The council sat in silence as they reviewed his evidence, murmuring among themselves. Professor Zorvac's expression remained stoic, But Liam noticed a slight furrowing of his brow, as if he were grappling with the possibility that he'd been mistaken. Chancellor Naller raised a hand, silencing the murmurs. She looked directly at Liam, her expression thoughtful. "Liam Weston, your explanation is compelling. It appears we may have underestimated the capabilities of your species." Zorvak's jaw clenched, but he nodded begrudgingly. The council conferred briefly, then Chancellor Naller made their decision. "Liam, your suspension is lifted. Furthermore, we will begin integrating human physiology studies into our curriculum. Your courage and dedication have not gone unnoticed. Welcome back to the Academy." The decision to lift his suspension was a victory, but for Liam, it felt like the beginning of something much bigger. It wasn't just about getting back into his reflex training class, it was about proving himself, his humanity, and the resilience of his people to an entire academy filled with alien species who knew almost nothing about Earth. This experience had awakened in him a drive he'd never felt before. A sense that he was representing not just himself but all humans in a universe that saw his kind as an oddity, even a liability. As Liam returned to his classes, he noticed a subtle shift in the way others looked at him. His classmates, who had once viewed him with skepticism, or even pity, now watched him with curiosity and a newfound respect. Some even approached him after class to ask questions about Earth, its culture, its people, its strengths. It was as if his suspension and subsequent vindication had broken down an invisible barrier, inviting them to see him not as an outsider but as someone with something valuable to offer. The next few weeks were transformative. Liam threw himself into his studies with renewed determination, excelling in areas he'd struggled with before. Reflex training, which had once been a source of stress, became a point of pride. Every time he dodged a pulse or caught a flying object with ease, he felt a surge of confidence, knowing he was proving his worth in a tangible way. But he was also aware that his success carried a greater responsibility. He was now seen as a bridge between humans and the galaxy's diverse civilizations. The real turning point came when the Galactic Academy's Council announced a special symposium to discuss the potential of human abilities and their applications in intergalactic affairs. The event, unprecedented in the Academy's history, was a testament to how far Liam's influence had spread. The Council extended an invitation to him to speak at the symposium, asking him to share his perspective on human adaptability, resilience, and unique skills. This was an opportunity Liam couldn't refuse. He realized that his journey had led him to a moment where he could shape the Academy's understanding of Earth and its people. In preparation, Liam worked tirelessly, gathering information, creating visual presentations, and even reaching out to human scientists on Earth for data on reflexes, endurance, and human adaptability. His research highlighted not only the physical aspects of humanity but also the psychological strengths that allowed humans to overcome challenges, adapt to new environments, and find solutions where others saw obstacles. He wanted to present a comprehensive picture of his people not just as biological organisms but as a species defined by courage, creativity, and determination. The day of the symposium arrived, and the Academy's main hall was filled with students, faculty, and council members, including Professor Zorvak, who had initially doubted Liam but had since become one of his most intrigued observers. The room hummed with anticipation as Liam took the stage, the holographic projector illuminating his face in a soft blue glow. He began with a simple statement. "Thank you for giving me the chance to share a part of what it means to be human." Liam then launched into his presentation, starting with an overview of human evolution on Earth. He described how humans had adapted to harsh climates, learned to hunt, build, and create tools, and ultimately developed societies based on cooperation and innovation. He explained the concept of fight or flight and how it had honed human reflexes over millennia, making them capable of rapid responses to threats, abilities that, to his alien peers, seemed almost supernatural. He shared data on human athletic achievements, showing videos of Olympic athletes performing feats of speed, strength, and agility. The audience watched, mesmerized, as humans sprinted, leaped, and swam at speeds unimaginable to most alien species. There were gasps and murmurs when Liam showed a clip of a gymnast balancing on a narrow beam, flipping and spinning with perfect control. "Humans may not have the strength of the Xaran," Liam said, nodding respectfully toward Professor Zorvac, "or the sensory capabilities of the Keishi. But our strength lies in our versatility. Our bodies are adaptable, our reflexes honed by survival instincts, and our minds capable of incredible resilience. We may not excel in any one area, but we're capable in many." The symposium attendees were silent, their eyes wide with wonder and fascination. Liam could see in their faces a dawning realization that humanity, despite its perceived limitations, had strengths that could be invaluable in a galaxy where survival often depended on versatility and quick thinking. After his presentation, the council opened the floor to questions. An alien student from the back raised a hand, and Liam nodded for him to speak. "Liam," the student said, his voice tinged with admiration, "do you think humans could contribute to our galactic missions and explorations?" Liam paused, thoughtful. "I believe so. In fact, I think humans have a unique role to play. Our adaptability and resilience make us well suited for unexpected challenges. We're natural problem solvers. And our curiosity, our drive to explore and understand, could help bridge the gaps between our different species." The audience murmured in agreement. Liam's words were resonating in a way he hadn't expected, and he realized that he was not only representing humanity but also inspiring a shift in perspective. He saw respect in their eyes, a genuine recognition that humans were more than they'd assumed. Finally, Professor Zorvac stood up, his tall, imposing figure drawing silence across the hall. He regarded Liam with a contemplative expression, as if reevaluating everything he'd thought about the young human. "Liam Weston," Zorvac began, his voice steady and authoritative, "you have challenged our assumptions and expanded our understanding. Your presence here has taught us that we must remain open to the strengths of all species, even those we think we understand. You have shown exceptional courage, not only in your skills but in your willingness to stand before us and share your truth." The hall was silent as Zorvac's words echoed, and Liam felt a swell of pride. For a moment he thought Zorvac was done, but the professor continued, his tone softening. "In light of this," Zorvac announced, "the council has decided to establish a new program, one that will explore and integrate human abilities into our training curriculum. And Liam, we would like you to lead this initiative as the Academy's first ambassador of Earth." Liam's heart pounded in his chest. The weight of the offer, the significance of the role, was almost overwhelming. He was being asked to represent humanity officially, to teach, guide, and help bridge the gap between his species and the countless others in the galaxy. It was an honor beyond anything he could have imagined. Swallowing his emotions, Liam nodded, his voice steady. "I would be honored, Professor Zorvac. Thank you." The hall erupted in applause, alien hands and appendages clapping, some emitting sounds he couldn't identify but recognized as cheers. Liam stood tall, letting the moment sink in, feeling the support and respect of his peers and mentors alike. It was a feeling he'd never experienced so profoundly, a sense of belonging, not just as an individual but as a representative of his species. Over the next few months, Liam worked tirelessly to develop the new program. He designed training modules that incorporated human exercises, agility drills, and problem-solving techniques that emphasized adaptability. Students from every species joined, eager to learn and understand what had once been deemed primitive or unusual. As he taught, Liam noticed the subtle ways his influence was changing the Academy's culture. Alien students and faculty members began to approach him, not with suspicion, but with genuine curiosity and openness. His lessons on human history, physiology, and philosophy sparked discussions that went beyond mere academics. They fostered a deeper understanding of the similarities and differences that defined each species. One day, as Liam was overseeing a training session, Professor Zorvac approached him. The once intimidating instructor now looked at him with a sense of respect that Liam could hardly believe. Liam, Zorvac said, his voice softer than usual, you've done more than prove your abilities. You've shown us the importance of humility. In my years here, I thought I understood strength, but you've taught me that true strength is also about learning from others. Liam smiled, feeling a deep gratitude for the journey he'd undertaken. He realized that he was no longer the outsider he'd once been. Through resilience, honesty, and a willingness to share his truth, he had earned a place not only in the academy but in the hearts and minds of those around him. As he watched his students, humans, aliens, and hybrids alike working together, he knew that this was only the beginning. The Galactic Academy had become not just a place of learning but a bridge between worlds, a place where diversity was celebrated and understanding was sought. And Liam, once the outsider, had become its heartbeat, a reminder of the incredible potential that lay within each species, waiting to be unlocked.